It's such a pleasure to have you guys. Taya Gaukrodger Jad Gillies. Thank you. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes. I mean, Gaukrodger.
Gaukrodger.
Yeah,
all right.
It's very difficult.
Thank you.
Taya, Gaukrodger, which one do you want first?
All right. And Jad Gillies, that's just easy.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yep.
We're here to chat about People, your brand new album. And as I understand it, you guys took a little bit of a break before putting this one together. Why did everyone need the rest?
Well, yeah. Empires, our last album was we toured in 15-16 for that, and it was a big time, not just for United but in church. A lot going on. We also have responsibilities at home as well with the creative team and in our church. So
We have a lot of conferences as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
So 2016 was an awesome year, but it was also a pretty full year. And at the beginning of 2017, we went to Israel. We had Colour Conference. It was just packed, and then we had.
And the Wonder album.
That's what I mean. So then we had we were recording the Wonder album during that time, and then it came to 2017, and it was like, I know for me personally, I didn't have a lot left in the tank, and so 2017 became a year where we kind of figured out that everybody kind of needed a little bit of a rest. So but to be honest, it's been an incredibly kind of rich time, because even from a redemptive sense, in that everybody's kind of now come back with this new album, People, and everybody's kind of feeling good. They're in a good headspace. It's like
It's like a sweet little realignment.
yeah, and it's everyone's excited about this, and so it going from where you just felt like, man, this is really hard. It's full on, to the point now where we're like, oh, we really believe in this. This is great. So I think that as we stumbled into what the break was, I believe that God's kind of really, I think he set it up, because now we're in a better spot than ever.
Yeah. Did it sort of, because, Joel took a little bit of a break, tried to rediscover his passion for the songwriting and his wonder and everything like that. When he's so core to the team in terms of the songwriting and vision, were you shaken at all by having to take that moment of pause and wonder what was coming next?
No, I don't think so. I think just like Jad was saying, like, I think we all personally needed it for different reasons as well. And I definitely think that we're better because of it. We've all come back with just, I think we all had our own time to search it out with God, of like the why behind the what, and remembering that, and remembering as well, like, that we're better together. Like, what we're a part of is bigger than the sum of one of our parts. Like, and truly, like, we do feel united. Where there's unity, God commands a blessing. And so whatever ends up happening in the future, like, I feel like for such a time as this, like, it's pretty special.
And I think the funny thing is too, like, let's say that wonder was the last thing that we were to do. I for me personally, and I think I speak for a lot of our guys, most of our guys, if not all of them, we never envisioned this happening in the first place. You know what I'm saying? So like, everything is kind of a blessing. Everything is kind of like this adventure. But we do know that God moves in His ways. So I personally just want to trust Him. So if tomorrow I wake up and that's the end of however it looks right now, to be honest, I think we're already kind of a little bit pre-programmed to just be like, okay, God, we'll just see. Let's just see what happens. Because I feel like that's where everyone was. They were like, oh, I'm not quite sure what's going to happen. Yeah. But I trust God, and I love church. Church is the thing that actually afforded us this opportunity in the first place. So that's what we're kind of going to be all about. And but as it happens,
Here you are.
we're back.
Yeah, it's a great place of peace really to be in, and particularly when your faith is tied to your career in some ways, even though it is as worship leaders. How do you deal with the times where you are feeling a little bit low and you've got to wrestle there, and then on Sunday morning you've got to jump on stage and be great?
I don't know. I feel like sometimes it's the kindness of God that we do get to lead worship, because I'm like, we're put in the presence of God every single time. And I'm like thankful for that, because I'm like, you can't be in the presence of God and not be affected and not, you know, have things like change within you, and he shapes and molds you. And so I love it. I mean, I'm an emotional person anyway, so sometimes I'm like, this is a bit much, God. Like, I'm very soft. Now I'm a petal. No, but I'm thankful for it. And to be honest, like, we're very, very normal people, and we don't escape from needing a relationship with Jesus. You don't just lead worship and not be connected to the source, because then you're just making a clanging gong sound, and that's nothing, like it says in the Word of God. And so, to be honest, when we're low, what do? We need to run to the presence of God ourselves, whatever that looks like. It might look like, because when you're on tour, like, you're with a lot of people. So for me, like, say,
you can't escape them.
Yep.
You're like, hello, this is crazy. I'm in my pajamas. This sucks. But you know, for me, say it's on like tour, because it's true. Like, you know, you experience like heights, and then it's like, okay, what am I meant to do in the middle ground time? You know, I'm meant to just every single day, like, be building into my relationship with Jesus, and that looks like reading the Bible, having a devotional. I journal and I pray, and I listen to worship music, usually without singing, because I get so distracted. So I just think no one escapes from a relationship with Jesus, and the more that you spend time with him, the more that you realize you need him even more, and you can't do it without him.
And you got to lead yourself.
100%.
Like, leading worship is great, but yeah, I mean, everybody has a responsibility to lead themselves. Doesn't matter whether you know, like, it doesn't matter whether you're some kind of a leader or not. You have to lead yourself. So every day, no matter how you're feeling, you've got to get up. You got to put one foot in front of the other. You've got to you know, if you're a mum or if you're a dad, you've got to get up and you've got to do what's best for your family. If you know, so I think it's the same. It's kind of the same. Like, even when you're kind of feeling low, I think momentum helps. Understanding that you've just got to keep putting one foot in front of the other. Understanding that like leading yourself is the most important thing, and you can't afford to kind of, I guess, give in to, you know what I mean. Whatever. So I think it's. I mean, and like Taya said, when you're on tour, it's such a weird thing, because like I am like the biggest introvert you've ever met, and so you're just like, I'm just like, oh, cool, like 40 people.
And a roommate.
Like, you can't complain about that. I see your videos of Jihei, your bass player, constantly.
I think I'm a blessing just to like go, Jihei, bless the world.
Just putting videos of her everywhere.
She hates it, but I'm like, people want what people want.
Yeah,
people want to see it.
You can't be upset, Jihei. People want what they want.
But during the break, your life off the road changed a little bit. You got married to Ben. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
A year down the track now. What's the biggest thing you've learned in married life?
In married life, I would say maybe just because when you're in the single way of life, you're like, cool, like I love this, like I'm content, I love Jesus, like whatever happens. And then he was the greatest surprise in a sense. And I mean, when I say surprise, like he pursued me for 3 years, but I just wasn't open to it, and he didn't do it in a forcible. He's such a good man. I'm like, thank you for staying. And he didn't do it in a forcible way. Like, he did it really gentle and was just around, and I got to see like his character.
We knew
as
him
a
before
friend.
Taya did.
Yeah. Right. So you were doing like the big brother sussing him out for a little while?
Yeah. Well, he asked us about Taya, and we're like,
hopefully you gave her a good recommendation.
Well, because you know, like if your little sister if a dude
protective.
comes, then you kind of want to know everything about him.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'll be the judge of that kind of thing.
I
But
like
we
it.
already knew him. He was one of our friends. So.
There you go. You got
It was
united
kind of
approval.
good, exactly. And I mean, like, he's so good to the point where there's a couple within our church, Annie Garrett, like, she's an amazing worship leader and pastor, and Magoo's now a pastor within our team. And so I'm really good friends with Annie. Kind of know Magoo a little bit, definitely more now. But Annie was like trying to suss out this Ben guy. She's like, who is this guy like that's interested in Taya? So she goes up to Magoo, who's obviously friends with Ben. And she goes...
His name's Brent, by the way,
yeah,
but
sorry.
his nickname is Magoo.
We'll roll with that. That's cool.
Which I didn't know for the longest time. She's like, Brent. I was like, who's that? Like, you married to someone? No, it's Magoo. And she goes like, you know, well, like, who is this Ben guy? Like, you know, like, where's he from? Like, what's his character like? And he goes, who is Ben? He goes, who's Taya? Like, who's she? Like, he is the best. And so I definitely...
I love that response. Like, what are you talking about? I'm trying to protect Ben.
Exactly, like, who is she? So, I definitely got super blessed. So when I got to step into marriage, it was like this whole other thing that I didn't even know about. And I was like, oh, like, this is God's idea. And where two people become one and you get to lean into each other's relationship with God. And because I obviously had never been married before and just maybe was a little naive, it was like this sweet new way of doing life and leaning into how he listens to the Holy Spirit. And he has an amazing prayer life, and that's something that I look at him and I'm like, teach me. Like, but I just learned from the way that he lives his life, and it's again, not forcibly, but it's quite lovely watching someone just be, and I'm like, I can tell you have a relationship with God. I can tell you carry the presence of God, and and just sweet things like I didn't know that a husband was like the defender and the protector, and because I hadn't dated heaps of people, but I dated a couple of other people, and I kind of always thought that I was going to be the one that would like lead spiritually, because I was a bit older than those other people, and I didn't realize that like the husband actually is like the head of the family and they lead, and it's quite lovely. So I'm kind of sitting back and I'm like, wow, like I get to sit in this blessing of something I didn't know existed. I think because, you know, I was obedient and waiting and waiting for the peace of God, you know, that transcends all understanding. And that kind of happened at the start of our relationship, to the point where, because it would seem quick to anyone else, but it just, the peace thing was crazy and it felt right, to the point where my best friend was like freaking out for me, thinking like, why are you freaking out? Like, this is crazy. But it was just
knew.
Yeah. And I know it's so annoying for all the single people. I'm so sorry, because everyone's like, when you know, like, and I'm like, but then I'm like, it's so true. Well, it's a God thing.
For the other singles though, like, because it's obviously you guys knew about it all, but when you threw the ring up on Instagram, and it was a huge surprise to people that you were even dating somebody, that you were getting married, and really it doesn't have to be everybody's business, but there's a lot of people in church who are single, dating within the bubble of church and people looking. What's your encouragement or advice to them to just do that time well?
You
can throw any advice in here too, Jad, if you've got thoughts.
Oh, I've got some advice.
I mean, dating within church can be so hard, if I'm truly honest, because like people love to be involved in stuff that's not really their business.
None of their business.
Thank you. And so, to be honest, the reason why I had put up on Instagram when we got engaged, I was going to wait, just exactly like Joel, you know, because I'd put, you know, relationships up, you know, before, and I waited a long time to do it, like 6 months, and then, you know, then you break up and you're like, I have to take down every photo and tag things, and it was just annoying, and people get invested, and so I made the decision I wasn't going to post anything till I got married, but then I have a lot of friends overseas, so then I was like, I probably should let them know that like I'm engaged and there is a wedding, you know, and Joel had posted about Esther. I loved it, like just a day before he got married, and said I love her, and then everyone's like, what? And then he just got married, so I was like, love that, I'm going to do it. But then had to let some friends know. So I would just say, we were in, like, Ben doesn't even have social media, so it was easy for him. He doesn't have Facebook, Instagram. It's the greatest thing ever. Always, like, brings me into alignment of, like, what really matters. I should get off my phone, like, all that. But, yeah, we made a couple of decisions of, like, I wanted to keep my private life private. There's a lot of things that are quite public, so I was like, that's, like, my thing with, like, Ben, and with those people around us who knew us quite well. And so that's the other thing. It wasn't in secret. It was with accountability, wise counsel, people who were further along, you know, the road than us, that were married, had kids. And you know, we still do like marriage counseling, and it's with people that like you look at their life and you go, I love that. Like I want to learn and glean from you in that. And I don't know, I just felt that I wanted to figure out first, because I think we put so much pressure when people are dating. For example, when you go out for coffee, it is just coffee. It's not a marriage proposal. It's not, you have to be dating. Like I had a friend that when we were in that period, like, not that they thought Ben wasn't awesome or anything like that, but they just said, just so you know, even if you get engaged, and then right up until you get engaged, and then you realize, oh, like, because it's like layers, like you get to know someone over time, and the closer that you get, you're like, okay, like now I'm seeing this side of you, and I see when you're angry, and I see when you're sad, and I like this, but I don't necessarily love this, and we talk about it. They said, even if you break up, after you get engaged and you realize it's not the right thing, better that you do that then than just go, well, I feel the pressure of we need to get married, and then go, it wasn't the right thing. And so it's like being willing and vulnerable enough to be that honest. And so I just thought, you know what, like I don't want to walk through church and like be holding a hand, and it's like the first time we're holding hands, and then everyone else is like peeking and just like, la, la, la. Like I wanted to know who I was with him away from people that don't really know that it's like, because as soon as you date, it's like, when are you getting married? Yeah. As soon as you get married, like, when are you having kids? 7 years, guys. 7 years, please.
Yeah, it's such good advice. And if we come back to the music for just a second, the album People, it's incredible. A lot of the sound on it is really reminiscent of some of the early United days. What was it about that time, 21 years ago, that you really wanted to preserve and make sure was part of People?
Well, to be honest, they were like the days where, when we look back and remember, that they were the days when, like, we absolutely just didn't know what we were doing. We were just hungry for God, but we also were trying to put expression to how we felt about God, and then give the kids in our youth ministry and our friends a way to express themselves that was different to, how we did it in church. It needed to be our sound. It needed to be our expression. And so the coolest thing about that was we really were just going, look, we don't care. We don't care if it's rusty and rough. We just want this expression to God to be ours. And that, to me, that was my favorite part. Like I grew up in New Zealand, and I first heard United, or, I knew about Hillsong, but I first heard United in, like 98 or whenever it was. And then I found out that they were going to this Christian festival that I used to go to every year. So I went and saw them in this tiny little tent, and it was, Joel, Marty, Talali, Peter King, Munzie, guys like that. And I didn't meet them. A couple of years later, a year later, I went to the college and just got involved with the youth ministry. But it was that rawness that I really loved and connected with when I first kind of heard it. Now I was a part of it. And I feel like when you do studio albums, there's so many tricks that you can do. There's all these techniques that you can, and it's great. There's a lot more freedom to be creative. But then when you do a live record, it has to be good. Not good as in quality, but it has to be real. Yeah. You know what I mean? You have to. It's like you don't only record the music, you record the response. And so it has to be real. You've got to lead these people somewhere it's significant, and so for me, that's where we wanted to revisit. That's where we wanted to get back to, and we even workshopping some of these songs, and we did a couple of these songs at team night.
I was about to say that was like my favorite.
And I was like, I got up and was like, this feels like, United We Stand. It feels like Look to You, when we would just teach people songs at team night, and then we'd just sing them at Encounterfest, So to me anyway, it was a real kind of return back to just worshipping with our people, I guess.
Yeah, just raw and rowdy and kind of fun. And so many of the songs already have impacted a lot of people that have listened to it. How have the tracks personally affected you guys?
Ooh, a lot. I would say, again, because we've been away touring, so we've just finished the first leg of a 3-leg USA tour. 33 cities, so it's like pretty big. Huge. We're about to leave on Tuesday. But I got to stand in church the other weekend, and whenever I come home, like, I'm just like soft as anything, because it's like, I never want to take for granted what we get to be a part of. And the only reason, like you were saying, we get to go out is because home is strong and we're sent out and we're covered, and it's under the umbrella of like our church and the mantle that's on our church. And I'm thankful for that, and I never want to step out from that. Sorry, side note. And so I'm standing in church, and we haven't actually played Starts and Ends yet on tour. But that's the one that Brookie and Joel wrote. And apparently they had actually never written a song together.
Wow.
And so I'm like, what? Like,
How?
I know. I mean, they're both amazing wordsmiths in their own right. So it was really special to stand in church, and they were leading this song, Starts and Ends, just in the city campus. And I was just it was the first time I'd heard it live, and just like, other than the album record, and I was just reading the lyrics, and it was just like, it's so dense and beautiful with the truth of God and the things that we can't reconcile. Like, when we, give it to God, like, he does what only he can do. And when my soul finds rest, and I'm just like, I mean, I can't say it because I'll probably like weep right now, but it's like the most like beautiful, like redemption, truth for people to sing. And I'm like, I didn't know if, like, as well, like I probably should learn a bit more just in case they're like, hey, do this. Being the only girl on tour. And so I'm just like, with my hands up, just like reading this song, and I'm just like, this is stunning. And I'd known that a few of my friends, like, had gone through a couple of things, and there was things they couldn't reconcile and things that had happened in their family. And yet that was the words that they were clinging to. And to hear it in church is just declaring. But the cool thing is as well, like, you always want people with their hands in the air, like having a visible response, because you're like, sweet, like they're going with us. But I think for that song, watching it in church, people are just like, they're overcome with the beautiful truth of the gospel of Jesus and his kindness towards them, and seeing them just alongside me, just weeping in church.
You need to bring tissues and put them.
I was just like, I can't do it, that song. So
it's interesting though, like there's songs for people, and that for me, the song Whole Heart. So I love there's the part that I love the most is like, so the song goes, once I was broken, but you love my whole heart through, death has no hold on me. I just love that there's this kind of there's kind of two factors there. It's like reminding ourselves, healed and forgiven, look where my chains are now. So reminding you, like you sing, faith comes through the hearing of the word. So when you confess that word, but also the defiance factor. Yeah. Like, that's the part I love the most. Yeah. Healed and forgiven, look where my chains are now. Like,
not on me.
Like contempt, utter contempt for the enemy. That's the part that I love about it. So when I sing it, I kind of have this, like, you know what I mean?
It's a bit of fire in your gut.
Totally, because I'm just like, I'm reminding myself, this has already happened. I'm healed and forgiven. But then the next line, look where my chains are now. I'm like, take a look.
It's like a little stamp on the devil.
Totally, that's the part I love about it. Just that kind of defiance and contempt for the enemy, which is what I love. Every time we do it, I'm just like, best part.
100%.
And the fact that the music is still impacting people is pretty special. Yeah. What do you guys see as the future for United now? Everyone's in a good place. You're all healthy, looking forward. What's coming next?
Well, we've got to finish this tour.
Yeah. I was like, I think you said it perfectly before. Like, we've come to like such a good place, but like a place of peace and just like trusting God. Like, I don't think we really know. If I'm being truly honest, like, we're just being faithful with what God's put in our hand for now, and just seeing which kind of has been the whole thing. Like, Zion was meant to be like the last album. Is God still in this? And then God kind of had a different plan, and I got to.
And I think so too. In the future, probably United may look a little different, but still be, still be United, but kind of the expression of what it is, the involvement of different people as well. Yeah. I mean, we're not sure, but I think that could be on the cards. So, with regards to the future, I'm excited for the future, because you have to evolve and you have to adapt, and I feel like United has been a band, but I believe that when it comes to encouraging people, when it comes to inspiring people, it has to be far more than a band. Yeah, you know what I mean. So, so I'm excited for the future, whatever it looks like. And I think probably Taya and I are the same. However we can kind of contribute and help in that, like, we're up for it. So, you know what I mean.
Very cool. Well, guys, Jad, Taya, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.